Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Storytime. Today's story is going to be Swarm. Now, Swarm is a story that I first wrote for a private company that had a contract with NATO, of all organizations. And the irony is pretty thick on this one, and you'll quickly understand why once you listen to the story. There was a project that wanted to look at the future of warfare. So I decided to write a story that took place in a future not too far from now, but maybe 5 to 10 years from this point in time in 2022. And it had imagined a future where the war in the Donbass had continued for several years, off and on, for a decade or longer. I wrote it in 2017, and then once that company released the rights to the story back to me, I subsequently sold it to Terraform, which is the science fiction arm of Vice Media. After appearing in Terraform, then it appeared in the year's Best Military and Adventure SF that was put out by Bain. It was Volume 4. So it appeared in this publication as well. I encourage you all to get a copy of it. It's got a lot of great stories in it. So I hope you enjoy this story. It takes place in what is unfortunately becoming now very familiar settings. I also used some footage of the current war in order to present the audience with, what a BMP or BIMP, as we called them in the military, looks like. So please let me know what you think of this story in the comments below, and also please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Swarm by Sean Patrick Hazlett. The Russians were coming. They had Captain Roland Skaskew's Special Forces team pinned down in a forested valley just outside Avdiivka, an industrial town north of Russian-occupied Donetsk. With only 3 survivors from his original complement of 12, Skaskew had been fighting a running battle against Russia's 37th Motorized Infantry Brigade for over a week. Wearied not by cold, hunger, or lack of sleep, Skaskew felt something darker weighing on his soul. His 3-year-old daughter, Anna. He frowned at a memory of her squeezing his finger and staring up at him with those innocent emerald eyes that would haunt him until the day he died. From the east, a muzzle flash heralded a piercing whine that echoed through the valley. Yet no explosion followed. Skaskew turned to Perez, his short and stocky weapons sergeant, a powder keg of a man with a short fuse. What the hell was that? Sounds like a 152mm howitzer, ordnance unknown. Skaskew shrugged. Hang tight. Extractions in 1 hour. Over the past year, the Kremlin had been launching cyber attacks against critical infrastructure, subverting European elections, and using the Black Sea Fleet to aggressively patrol the eastern Mediterranean. A neo-Cold War was on the precipice of boiling over into a hot one. From his cargo pocket, Skaskew pulled out a ragged photo. He gazed at Anna's faded image. He kissed her picture and said a silent prayer before banishing the memory once more for the task at hand. To the west, dozens of white and black specks peppered the gray sky, resolving into coal-black cannonballs, swaying from white parachutes. Skaskew took a deep breath. The only thing worse than walking to a minefield was having one walk into you. A swarm. Short for Scatterable Wide Area Autonomous Robotic Mines. These sadistic little mamas scared the piss out of Skaskew. The first time he'd faced them, they'd wiped out 3/4 of his team. Having flared on and off for a decade since Putin's 2014 annexation of Crimea, the Russo-Ukrainian war was heating up again. Skaskew had come here to collect evidence of Russian violations of the Palo Alto Accords, which had banned offensive autonomous weapons systems. But mission creep had quickly thrust Skaskew's soldiers into direct conflict with the Russians. Given NATO's official policy of non-intervention, Skaskew's operation was supposed to be covert. Surrender wasn't an option. Skaskew needed a plan. Fast. Half a click to the north, he spotted a red brick schoolhouse. From there, he could blunt the Russian advance long enough to make his escape. Several meters further north, oak and pine trees lined both sides of a paved road, stretching from east to west. The swarm began touching down behind them, cutting off his western escape route. Skasky frowned, then faced his comm sergeant, a lanky, straw-haired Minnesotan. "Talk to me, Jorgensen." Jorgensen flipped down his Artemis goggles. The augmented reality targeting and engagement mapping integration system consolidated imaging data from scores of solar-powered, centimeter-length, autonomous microdrones loitering overhead. "Contact! BIMPs! 3 o'clock! 2 clicks out!" hollered Jorgensen. 8 wedge-shaped armored vehicles closed in from the east. Skasky was spun toward Perez. "How many SAMs you got left?" A SAM, or semi-autonomous attachment mine, could be pre-programmed to latch onto a specific target and detonate on command. 16. Skasky gestured toward the tree line. "I want SAMs there, ASAP." Perez popped open a black briefcase and removed 8 racquetball-sized SAMs. Skasky pointed at the schoolhouse. "We deploy the SAMs, then hole up and fight from there." Perez fastened 4 small counter-rotating blades on each SAM, then gave Jorgensen a thumbs up. Jorgensen remotely engaged the SAMs with his goggles. The rotors swirled, lifting the SAMs 30 meters above the ground, before they swooped toward the road and veered sharply to either side in equal numbers. Then they disengaged their rotors, launched spring-loaded retractable spikes on metal wires, and latched onto the trees at chest level. In the schoolhouse, Skasky stumbled upon 5 scrawny children, squatting in darkness. Their slate-blue eyes stared from soot-smothered faces, and in one little girl, he saw Anna. "We can't stay," Perez said. Perez was right. If they hunkered down here, the children would get caught in the crossfire. "Mines 300 meters and closing," warned Jorgensen. Perez wiped his brow. Now what? Skasky grinned. "Have faith. Here's the plan. We detonate the SAMs the instant the bulk of the BMP column is in the kill zone, then attack." The little girl toddled up to Skasky and hugged him. Seconds later, an explosion rocked the building, shaking up flakes of paint and dust. "Now!" Skasky yelled. Jorgensen detonated the SAMs. Skasky kicked open the school door, raising his rifle as he advanced on the unscathed lead BMP. 7 other vehicles lay pinned beneath fallen and splintered trees. Skasky hesitated, second-guessing his decision to leave the children behind. 2 soldiers stumbled from the lead BMP's rear troop compartment, snapping Skasky out of his trance. He shot them, then glanced over his shoulder. 200 meters out, mines scurried toward him on mechanical spider legs. Bullets zipped by. The Russian survivors rallied from beneath the toppled trees, pinning down the Americans behind the BMP. Perez and Jorgensen raided the BMP's troop compartment, making quick work of the dazed men inside. Climbing into the turret, Perez gunned down the driver. Then he and Jorgensen tossed the bloody body from the vehicle. Perez slipped into the driver's hole. Jorgensen commandeered the gunner station, and Skasky took control of the turret. Perez aimed the BMP at the advancing minefield. From the gunner station, Jorgensen swiveled the turret 180 degrees and destroyed the 7 trapped BMPs to the east. Then he rotated the turret forward again, training its 30mm cannon on the crawling minefield. "Don't shoot the swarm!" Skasky had a hunch the mines wouldn't attack Russian vehicles unless provoked. The mines maneuvered with uncanny grace, dodging debris and leaping over obstacles like lions, stalking anything that moved. Suddenly, the children ran out of the schoolhouse and right into the swarm's path. Skasky shouted, "Gun it!" The BMP surged forward. The swarm advanced. The children froze. A mine exploded. Skasky screamed, "Faster!" The gap between the swarm and the children was closing fast. "Hard right!" Skasky ordered. Perez wedged the BMP between the children and the swarm. The vehicle squealed to a halt. Skasky and Jorgensen scrambled to pull the children aboard. The swarm now only meters away. The little girl stumbled. Against every instinct, Skasky leapt from the BMP and raced to her rescue. As he carried her to the vehicle, a mine clung to his leg. Skasky pushed forward, weighed down by the metallic anchor. Jorgensen clutched the girl's arm and pulled her onto the BMP. More mines grasped Skaskew, dragging him away. Jorgensen hesitated. "Go!" Skaskew yelled. Before the mines detonated, Skaskew watched in satisfaction as the 7 lives he'd saved sped toward safety. As the little girl reached out to him, Skaskew thought of Anna and smiled. He'd failed to save his own daughter. At least he could save someone else's.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.